Right, Ein Dalet Beis, maybe 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, the last line is Vayivra. About to quote a verse. Okay, there's a pause. Let me know. Where's Steve? Steve's here. Basically, after the 21 stories, so what's up next is long gemaras about the nature of this Leviathan, of this great fish that's being put away for us to eat when Mashiach comes. And then it goes into a discussion about other interesting things that happen in the next world. So let's start. The last word is Vayivra. Vayivra Elokim es hataninim hagadolim. So the verse states in the first chapter of Bereshis that Hashem created these big fish. So Hacha Targimu Arzili Diyamu. So here we translated these words as the Arzili Diyama are the re'aims of the sea, some kind of sea animals. Rabbi Yochanan Ambar, no, it actually refers to Zeleviyasan, Nachash Bereach, the Leviyasan, Nachash Aklason. So it's plural, Hataninim is plural. It's referring to both the Leviyasan that's like a straight snake, and the Leviyasan that's like a curved snake. Yeah. So once again, these two Taninim are either it's a Leviathan that is like a straight snake, or a Leviathan and a Leviathan that's like a curved snake. Okay. Shinamar, as it says, B'yomahu yifkod Hashem b'charvo hakasha v'gomer. If you look at the end of the pasuk, it says Al Leviathan. It talks about in the future when Mashiach's going to come. Al Leviathan nachash bariach, Al Leviathan nachash aklason. So we bring a verse to support this idea that they're really the two Leviathans. One is like a straight snake and one is like a curved snake. I guess it's referring to the shape of the fish. One's more straight and one is more curvy. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rab. Kol ma shabara kadosh baruch hu ba'olamai zachor nekeva baram. Everything that Hashem created in the world, He created male and female. Even af Leviathan, even these great fish, Nachash Bereach, the Leviathan, Nachash Aklason, the Nachash Bereach, the straight snaked fish, that's referring to the male, and the more curved snake-shaped Leviathan is referring to the female. Zachar Nekeva Baram. The Ilmalin is talking how if they were to mate together, you know what would happen? Machribin Kola Olam Kula. They would come together, they would destroy the whole world. Females are curved in general. That's right. That's why. Yeah. Exactly. That's why. Exactly. That's right. So Ma Asakash Baruch Hu. So Hashem knew that this was going to happen. So what did He do? So He has a plan. Ma Asakash Baruch Hu sirates as a zachar, castrated the male, straight, snaked shaped Leviathan. The harag hanekeva u'molchol atzadikim lasid lavo. The nekeva He killed and He salted it to preserve it. Now this is good salt. This is 6,000 year lasting salt. This is great. You can't buy this in Fred Meyer. So and He salted it lasid lavo. I think the Gemara was going to ask, you want to prevent them from mating together, you don't necessarily have to. Exactly. You could castrate the male one and then you're good to go. So, but he saw that we had to destroy the maybe the attempt mating would also be dangerous. I don't know. Okay. Shinamar v'har. Shinamar, as the verse says, v'hara ges hatanin asher bayam, and he killed the tanin, this big fish that was in the water. That we learn is referring to this female Leviathan. Now, there's something about the sea called the Behemos Bahare Ela, some kind of animal that can travel 1,000 mountains in one day. And apparently this is going to be like I don't know, it's like Yankees and Red Sox, but it's like the rival of the Leviathan. When Mashiach comes, they're going to get into a fight, and the horns of these behemoths is going to go into the Leviathan, and the fins of the Leviathan are going to go into the behemoth, and they're going to be fighting over who the tzaddikim should eat from. That's what we're going to see later on, I think. Some explain. So we're going to... Which are treifas, exactly. That's a good question. I don't exactly know what these behemoths are, but they're called the af behemoths bahare elef. They can travel 1,000 mountains in one day. That's a verse in Tehillim. Okay, so these also zachar and nekeva baro. Behemoths is plural, so Hashem created them as zachar and a nekeva. If they would mate together, what would happen? Machriben Kollel and kula. So what did he do to prevent destruction of the world through the mating of these 2,000 hills a day animals? So Sires as a zachar, that's the same as Olav Yasan. Castrated the zachar, Vitzinein hanekeva. And it sounds like he not to chill out, but he cooled off. He cooled off the nekeva. Apparently, the cooling off would take away some of its physical desire. That's what it sounds like. He made it unemotional. Oh, he made it. Okay, he made it unemotional. Yeah. So unemotional, and then preserved it. And the shamra, he preserved it. Let's tzadikim lasid love. Shenamra hinena kocho b'masnav zeh zachar. So its koach is in its loins. That's referring to the zachar. The ono b'srei bitno, and its strength remains in the navel of its belly. Zu nekeva. So meaning he didn't let their strength come out and mate with each other. Rather, he castrated the zachar and he chilled the nekeva. Yeah, maybe that's where chilled out comes from. I don't know. So says the Gemara, there's a difference between the Lev Yasan and the behemoths. So he said, I don't understand. Hasam nami litzil zachar ulitznana lenekeva. By the Lev Yasan, you should also do the same, castrate the zachar, which you did, but then you should just use this tzina formula, just put chill into the female Lev Yasan, and then preserve it. So the Gemara says, yeah, but the dagim are pritzi. The dagim are pritzi. They're not restrained. So meaning even this chilling process wouldn't restrain them. Obviously, I guess Hashem could make a chill that would restrain them. But I guess in a somewhat natural way of the world, this chill would not restrain. That's exactly. Meaning Hashem could have created a chill that would make this fish restrained. Like apparently in the natural potions of chilling prescription, it's not going to work for a fish. So V'li abed ibcha. So why don't you do the opposite? Why did you have to castrate the male and kill the female? Why don't you kill the female and preserve the male? So Ibais Ema Nikeva Malichem Ali. Everyone knows female salted Lev Yasan is much more yummy. I mean, so I'd rather salt the female one than the male one. I mean, how do we not think of that? So Ibais, or another answer, in case that wasn't satisfactory. Ibais Ema Kevan Dechsiv Lev Yasan. I have no idea what this means. The Gemara Avodah Zarah says that Kadosh Baruch Hu, l'sachik means to play with. Some kind of, I don't know, something with the female Lev Yasan, but behade nekeva lav orach ara. It's not proper to play with a female Lev Yasan. It's not proper to Hashem to do that. Therefore, he had to kill that one, and whatever l'sachik bo means, that happens with the male one. I have no idea what that means. So hachanami. So back to our behemoths, why did you have to chill it out? Why can't you just salt it? So no, everyone knows. Salted fish after 6,000 years are delicious. Salted meat is not so delicious. So he salted the fish because that's more delicious. And the meat, he had to kill the animal. Okay. I feel like if the Cutners were here in person, they'd have a lot to say about this. Okay. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, so okay, we left the Lev Yasan for a little bit. So now when Hashem wanted to create the world, so Amar Lo L'Sar Shel Yam, there was a ministering angel who was in charge of all the seas. And we know that when the world was created, everything was just water. So he told them, Psach Picha Ubala Kol Mema Sheba'olam. why don't you open up your mouth and swallow up all the seas of the world? So this ministering angel, the one in charge of the seas, Amar Lafanav, Ribono Shalom, the Aish Amud B'Shali, like I'm doing enough with my own job. It sounds like a lot of the rivers would flow into the sea, and he would swallow up that flowing water in order that the world shouldn't be destroyed. So that's already enough to handle. So miyad boat. So right away Hashem Kivyachol, he, so to speak, kicked him and killed him. The Hargo. Shinamar Bekocho Rega Hayam Uvesfunaso Machas Raho. So with his strength, so he split the sea, and with his wisdom, Machatz Rahav, he smote, he killed Rahav. So now it says, who's Rahav? Rabbi Yitzchak Shema Mina, Saro Shalyam, Rahav Shmo. Now we know the name of the ministering angel of the seas. His name was Rahav. The Ilmole Mayim Mechasen. No, so now, so the Ilmole Mayim Mechasen. So Ein Kol Ber Yecholam Berecho. If not for the fact that all the water would be covering him, we wouldn't be able to withstand his terrible smell. Yeah. So Shinamar Lo Yeru Lo Yeshchisu Bahar Kacho Kimola Aretz De'as Hashem Kamayim Liyam Mechasen. So Al Tikri Liyam. Yeah. So what does it mean that water is going to cover the water? Rather, rather the water is going to cover this ministering angel. I think they bring in the footnote in the interesting things that this is like an allegory. This is like a parable to the water itself. That the way Hashem made it, Hashem had all the waters of the ocean, and then he I don't know what it says there, but it was very interesting. He made this natural angel of the sea mentioned here it means the nature of the sea. It's referring to the nature of the sea. And by nature, the sea should really flood the whole world. But since Hashem overpowers the laws of nature and does not allow them to operate, so that's thus sparing the dry land from being flooded. That's what the Gemara means by saying that God killed the patron angel of the sea. And he didn't let it overflood, rather he created boundaries. So now that the seas are strained and not allowed to flood onto the world, so now its water should stay still, but that would cause a terrible odor to the world, including the atmosphere. So Hashem ensures that the water cycle is maintained. Fresh water from the rivers always comes in, and the bad water goes up in evaporation. That's I found that very interesting. Okay. Amar of Yehuda Amar Rav Yardein Yotze Mimaras Pamias. So the Jordan River goes out from a cave called Pamias. Yeah. Kanyan Amihachi, as the Brisa says, Yardein Yotze Mimaras Pamias. And then where does it go? Umahalech biyama shel Sifchi, and it goes to the sea of Sifchi. Ubiyama shel Tiberia, and then it goes to the sea of Tiberia. Umisgalga biyored liyam gadol, and then it ends up in the Mediterranean. Umisgalga biyored acha megia lepiv shel Lev Yasan. Back to our Lev Yasan, and the water, this water that comes out of this cave, it trickles down into the mouth of the Lev Yasan. Shnemar Yiftach, this fish is confident. Why? Ki agiach yardin al piu. That the water is going to go down into the mouth of the Lev Yasan. Yeah. So now, Masket Rabbi Barula says that pasuk you just brought as a proof that the water is going to go to the mouth of the Lev Yasan. That pasuk is not in the context of a Lev Yasan. It's back to our Behemus Bahari Ella. It's referring to the animals that can travel 1,000 hills in one day. So Ella Amarava Barula. Okay. A Masai Behemus Bahari Ella Betuchos. One of those animals very confident. Bisman Shemagia Yardain Bepiv Shel Lev Yasan. So meaning these animals, they're confident that they're going to stay alive as long as water keeps flowing down from the Yardain into the mouth of the Lev Yasan. Because as long as they're alive, we're going to be alive too. And I think here the Maharsha speaks about, because when Mashiach comes, so they're both going to be, I believe, they're both going to now fight and both kill each other. They're both going to fight over who should eat from their skin. So until that point, as long as water is flowing down to the Lev Yassan's mouth, I guess these behemoths Aleph are privy to this. They know when this is happening. So okay. So on the seas, the world's going to be established, and on the rivers, it's going to be also established. So what's this referring to? The seas and the rivers? Elu Shiva Yamim, the Arba'a Naharos. Referring to 7 seas and 4 rivers. Shemakitpenes Eretz Yisrael, that surround Eretz Yisrael. The Elu Hain, Shiva Yamim, Yamash al Tevera, Yamash al Dom, Yamash al Chelas, Yamash al Chilsa, Yamash al Simchi, Yama Astamya, the Yama Gadol. Those are the 7 seas that surround Eretz Yisrael. The Elu Hain Arba'a Naharos, and the 4 rivers are Yarden, the Yarmoth, the Kiromion, Piga. So, Kiyasar of Dimam Rabbi Yochanan, Asi Gabriel La'asos Kanigya Im Lev Yassan. So, in the future, the Malach, the angel Gabriel, is going to do. He's going to hunt down this. He's going to hunt down the Lev Yassan and do a whole hunt with them. Shenamar Hatimshach Lev Yassan be Chaka. He's gonna. Can you? Meaning the Nami Yishai, in Eov, it's talking about how mortal a man is, and Hashem tells him, can you put a fish hook into the Lev Yassan, and put a rope into its tongue? You can't do that. So you see how strong I am and how mortal you are. So that the one who created this Lev Yassan, Yigash, he's going to put the sword into the Lev Yassan. So the Rashbam says the pasuk is actually referring to the behemoths, these behemoths that travel 1,000 hills in one day, but who adin in Lev Yassan. But the same is true with the Lev Yassan. They're too strong to kill. The Malach Gabriel at times can only trap them, but only Hashem could actually kill them. Or maybe Hashem will send the Malach Gabriel to kill them. But he's telling Eov that it's too big for a mortal to go and to kill them. He also Rabbi came. Rabbi Yochanan, he came to Bava. He used to travel from Eretz Yisrael to Bava, and Rabbi Yochanan used to be the head of Eretz Yisrael. So he always would say over teachings from the great Rabbi Yochanan. So he said, "B'shash Lev Yassan Ra'av Motzi Hevel Mipiv." See, like when you say things about the Lev Yassan, everyone's gonna be excited when you come back, right? So Kiyas Rabbi Yochanan, B'shash Lev Yassan Ra'av. When the Lev Yassan is very hungry, it's Motzi Hevel Mipiv. It exudes kind of breath from its mouth. Umartiach kol memos she b'metzula, and it sounds like it boils up, causes to heat up all the seas she b'metzula, all the seas that are in the metzula, in the cauldron. It makes them boiling like a very hot cauldron. Yeah, so it's martiach. All the seas get heated up whenever this Lev Yassan breathes, like a hot cauldron. But don't worry, why aren't we smelling this terrible odor? Because the Lev Yassan's head is in Gan Eden. So if not for the fact that his head was in Gan Eden, then no creation would be able to withstand its odor. Shinamar, as the verse says in Eov. Okay? Yartia kasir metzula yam yosim kemer kacha. That it's going to be it boils up like a cauldron. Yam yosim kemer kacha, and the yam is going to be like a pleasant fragrance. Meaning, since he put his head in Gan Eden, so now it's no longer going to be this foul smell. Ubishashet sameh. So now what happens when the Lev Yassan gets very thirsty? Oset Hamim makes different furrows in the sea. Shenamar Acharav Yair Siv. After the Lev Yassan is a nice beautiful path. Amar Achabar Yaakov. So Ein Tahom Chozele Sano Ad Shivim Shana. It does such a good job making furrows in the ocean. It doesn't go back to its original strength, its original form, until 70 years. So 1 ounce of thirst for the Lev Yassan takes 70 years to go back to its original form. Shinamar Yakshav Tahom Leseva. To calculate the Tahom, the depths of the ocean, Leseva. What's Seva? Means old age. Ein Seva Bechusa Mishivim. And the minimal of that is 70. That's also Bifnei Seva Takum, says in the Torah. You should stand up in front of an older person. So older there means, according to most opinions, means 70. Okay. Okay, so now we're done with the Levyasa, not fully done. But we're going to talk about now what's going to happen for tzaddikim when in the next world. So, Hashem is going to make a meal for the tzaddikim from the flesh of the Levyasa. Shenamar, as the verse states, Yichru olav chabarim yechatzuhu bein kenanim. So Hashem's going to Yichru olav chavim. We're going to come and gather all the chavim. We're going to gather together. The ein para ela suda. That word yichru means referring to a suda. How do I know? Because it says in a different verse, that they're going to come together and they're going to eat. And what does chaverim mean? The ein chaverim ela talmidei chachamim, and chaverim refers to the Torah scholars. Talmidei chachamim. Shenamar, how do you know? It says in the verse in Shir Hashirim, Hayosheves beganim chaverim makshivim lekolech hashmeni. So Hayosheves beganim chaverim. So these chaverim are sitting up there in Gan Eden, makshivim lekolech, and Hashem's listening to their voices. And hashmeni, He wants their voices to be heard. However, and everyone else who's not a Torah scholar, Hashar, what's left over is Chalkin Oso, Osin Bo Schora Beshuki Yerushalayim. You can have the rest of it and you can do business with it. You can sell it in the marketplaces of Yerushalayim. Shenamar Yachatzuhu Bein Kenanim. You can split up between the Kenanim. The Ein Kenanim Ela Tagrim. And Kenanim is referring to merchants. Shenamar Kenanim Biyado, Ma'azne Mirma, Lashok Ahev. Lashok Ahev. So this Kenan, they're going to have in their hands these scales of trickery, these measures of trickery, and they're going to love to rob and to steal. But you see that Kenan in the verse is referring to people that are holding measures. Who's holding the scales and the measures? Those are the merchants. Vibais Ema Mehacha, maybe another verse. Asher Seichareha Sarim Kenaneha Nichvdei Aretz. That the verse is referring to the Seichareha, the merchants are the Kenaneha. It's also referred to the Kinaneha. So Chreha and Kinaneha in that verse. So you see that Kinaneha is referring to merchants. Okay. But Amar Rabbi Yochanan, he said in the name of Yochanan, Hashem is going to make a sukkah for the tzaddikim. Me'oro shel Levyasa. We're going to be in a sukkah made out of the flesh, the skin of the Levyasa. Shenamar, as the verse states, Hasmali besukos oro uvetiltzal dagim rosho. It's going to be filled with sukos oro of its of the skin of the Levyasa. Zacha osimo sukkah. If one merits, he gets a sukkah. Lo zacha osin la tiltzal. Like you'll be in like the shade. You won't be in actual sukkah. You'll be in the shade of the sukkah. Shnamar, as the verse states, ubetiltzal dagim rosho. So it says there ubetiltzal dagim rosho. Ubetiltzal dagim rosho. The what? The fish heads? Yeah, can you make a fish shade out of its head? Like Hashem will do? That means comparing. Can you make a fish head? So we're going to make what's fish shade out of that? That's going to be the shade of the yasam. So zacha osin lo tiltzal, lo zacha osin lo anak. You're going to get a necklace. Thank you. Shnamar v'anakim legagar sacha. You put this necklace on your throats, on your necks. Zacha osin lo anak. If you're married, you get an anak, you get a necklace. Lo zacha osin lo kamiyah. You get an amulet. Shnamar v'tikshenu l'narasayich. These can tie onto you. Onto the maidens, such a thing, an amulet. The hashar and the rest of it, He's going to spread it around the walls of Yerushalayim. The zivo mavik, and it's going to be so shiny, the skin of the Levyasa, it's going to shine. Misofa olam ba'ad sofa. It's going to go from across the whole world. You'll be able to see it shine across the world. Shinamar, as the verse states, So Goyim are going to walk with its light. And the kings can walk with its brightness. It's going to be so shiny that people can follow it and it'll direct them. Okay. So now the verse says, V'samti kadkor shimsho sayich. U'sha'arayich la'avne echta. Okay, so what does this mean? V'samti kidkar shimsho sayich. I'm going to place kidkar, we're going to see in a second. Shimsho sayich, the Rashbam says, means your walls. I'm going to make your walls from kadkar. Amr of Shmuel bar Nachmani, pligi trey, malachi berakia, Gabriel Michal. So Gabriel and Michal are having an argument. The Amrila, some say trey marai b'marava, or it's two of the Amoraim in Eretz Yisrael. Umatin, and who were these two Amoraim who were arguing? What the definition of this kadkod is? Yehuda v'Chizkiya b'ni. Yeah, B'ni Reb Chia, the son of Reb Chia. Chad Omer, one that's going to be a Shoham stone, the Chad Omer Yishpeh stone. I don't know how to translate in English, a Shoham stone, Yishpeh stone, different kinds of fancy stones. I think one might be in jasper, a Shoham stone. Yeah. We have the Avnei Shoham is by the Shoham is part of the materials for the Mishkan. The Torah calls it the Avnei Shoham, the stones of Shoham. So Amar l'Kodesh Baruch Hu lahavei kedenu kedenu. Maybe it'll be both. It'll be both stones. I'll build up the walls. The walls here, I think, refers to the walls of Yerushalayim. So, okay, and that verse, the end of that verse says, "Usharayich la'avnei ektach." And I'm gonna build the gates. Are going to be la'avnei ektach. So, what's la'avnei ektach? So the Rashbam says it's some kind of. It's going to be hewn out of. He calls it a carboncula. Some kind of carboncula stone, or it's some kind of burnt stone. It's hewn stone. So I mean, they have one big stone. They're going to carve it out, and that's going to create the gates. Okay. Ki hadi yas Rabbi Yochanan the Kadarish, as Rabbi Yochanan sat and he was expounding. In the future, Hashem is going to bring beautiful stones with margolios and pearls. Shehem, what's their size? Shloshim al shloshim, 30 amos by 30 amos. The chokik behen eser al eser. He's going to carve out 10 by 20. Umamidim b'shara Yerushalayim. He's going to put them on the Shara Yerushalayim. And then, so what happened? So Rabbi Yochanan was giving his, his shir on Shabbos. Now he was giving his Torah class. And then legalgil alav oso Talmud. So he started laughing. So what did he say? He said, Hashta kebiyasa de tzitzla lo mashkechinan. Meaning we never even found an egg of a small bird. One second. We never even found a. Yeah, 1 second. Sorry. So he said. These precious stones, meaning they're so hard to find, they're so small, we can't even find them the size of an egg of a small dove. Doves are very small, so the egg of a small dove. So we're going to find such large stones you can carve out 30 by 30, 10 by 20. So Liyamim, what happened? The student went down on a boat ride. And Chaza, he saw Malachi Asharis the Yasvi Kaminsri Avanim Tovos or Margolios. He actually saw the angels carving out from these huge stones and pearls, Shem Lamed al Lamed, the Chafuk Bahan Eser Brom Eser, and they're going to be 10 by 20. He saw this. So now, Amar Lahu, he asked them, Hani Laman, what are these for? So Amrulay, Shasei Kadosh Baruch Hu La'amidam B'Shara Yerushalayim. These are for Yerushalayim in the future, because I'm going to put these on the Shara Yerushalayim. So he couldn't believe it. Here he was laughing at his Rebbe, and now he comes back and he says, I was wrong. Also, coming to Rabbi Yochanan. And he said, Amar Lei, Darish Rabbi, L'chana Lidrosh. It's a real chutzpah, yeah? Keep expounding, you're really basically saying, you're saying well, you were right, meaning he doubted the authenticity of the statement. And then after he went on, and it sounds like, Hashem, showed him, put him in his place. He comes back and he tells his baby, oh, don't worry, keep going. You're saying the correct things. So his Rebbe then gave it to him. He said, Amar lo Reka. I think Reka here means like a young student, right? Usually Reka refers to like a young student. No, not yet. We're not there yet. Not yet. Ruin the punchline. Oh, you empty person. Amar lo Reka. Ilmali Ra'is Elohim Anta. If you never saw it, then you wouldn't have believed it. So you are someone who's Megalgal al Divrei Chachamim. You're someone who laughs at the words of the sages. So Nasan Einav Ba, he put his eyes on him. V'nase Gal Shalatzamos, and he became a heap of stones. So they point out here, there's no objection to accepting the words of the Chachamim and then trying to go figure it out by rational reasoning. But his problem was that he refused to accept their words. And to accept the words and then go figure out afterwards, that's one thing. But to not accept the words until you have a proof necessarily, that's where he got in trouble. And therefore, he became a Gal Shel Atzamos. So don't mess with Rabbi Yochanan. So, lesson learned. Okay. So now, yeah. So Mason, now we're going to talk about the size of these gates. So the Holech Eschem Komamios. So the Holech Eschem Komamios. So Hashem said, I'm going to lead you very high. So Reb Meir Omer Masayim Am is going to lead us. It's going to be 200 amos. So we're going to be. It sounds like 200. We're going to be that high. We're going to be 200 amos high when Hashem is going to lead us. Kishtei Komos Shel Adam Arishon, twice the size of Adam Arishon. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Meya Amma. It's going to be 100 amma. Kineged HaHeichal V'Ksala, correspond to the Heichal, the part of the Beis Hamikdash, which contained the Kodesh and the Kodesh HaKadoshim, V'Ksala and its walls. Shinamar Asher Baninu Kinetim Megudalim B'Nureim B'Noseinu Kizavios Mechutavos Kavnis Heichal. As the verse says that our daughters are like cornerstones crafted in the form of the temple. So we see from here that the walls of Yerushalayim are going to be, we're 100 amos high. But if they're 100 amos high, they're going to require gates that are much more than 20 amos high. And Rabbi Yochanan said that the gates that are carved out of these stones are 20 amos high. So we say, Kikam Rabbi Yochanan, that's Lekave Debe Zika. He wasn't referring to the gates, he was referring to the windows that allow the air to come through. So that's what he meant when they were going to be carved out and be 20 amos high. He was not referring to the gates, rather he was referring to the windows. Okay, now more about what's going to happen to us in the next world. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, every tzaddik gets 7 canopies. You get a chuppah once by your wedding, and you have 7 more destined for you. Well, I guess if you're a tzaddik in the next world, 7 canopies. Shinamor bara Hashem al kol mechon hartzion val mikreha anan yomam va'ashan v'noga eish lahava laila ki al kol kavah. So that verse has 7 things that Hashem is going to create. So ki al kol kavah. So ki al kol kavah chuppah melamed shekol echad v'echad os l'kadosh baruch hu chuppah lefi chvodo. So he's going to create these words refer to each one refers to the Rashbam says. So An and Yomam is 1, Va'ashan is 2, Nog is 3, H is 4, Lahav is 5, Ki Kol Kavod is 6, Chuppah 7. So then it says that each person, according to their kavod, according to your honor, according to what you've accomplished in this world, and how much you've progressed in this world, so that's how much kavod will be at that chuppah in the next world. Chuppah lefi chvodo. So ashan bechuppah lama. Okay, why is there going to be smoke at the chuppah? There's going to be smoke here. Rabbi Chanina shekol mi she'einav tzaros. Anybody who has a stingy eye with Talmudei Chachamim, the Rashbam says that he doesn't let them benefit from their from his things. He's not mehana them with his nechasim. He doesn't give them whatever it is, money, a place to stay. Whoever doesn't benefit, whoever's stingy with Talmudei Chachamim, the olam hazeh. So then those eyes are mismalos einav ashlan haba. They're going to be filled with smoke in the next world. Okay, that's why there's smoke. The eish b'chuppah lama. Why is there going to be fire at this chuppah? So Amar Rabbi Chanina malamet shekol echad ve'echad nichve mechupaso shel chavera. Oy lala osa busha, oy lala osa klima. The Ramchal quotes us in the Mesichet Sharm, I believe, that lest one say, what do I care? So I won't be so great. It's fine. Like I'll maintain average and everyone will become greater. But says it's not true. The feeling one's going to have and the embarrassment and the shame that he could have done more in this world, when he sees his friend who he could have done as much as he did, gets to a higher place in the next world, there's no denying that there's such a shame and an embarrassment that's going to befall upon us. So that's what it means, the eish b'chuppah. It's going to be a certain fire. It's going to be that embarrassment and that shame that you could have done more. I believe the Vilna Gaon is claiming to say that worse than the fire of Gehenna is not becoming the person that we're supposed to be. That's the meaning, not to be what he's supposed to be what we're supposed to be, and that can cause a real embarrassment and shame in the next world. Okay. Kiyotze b'davar similarly at the Omer ben Asata mehodcha Allah. So below kol hodcha. It's referring to I'm going to give you from my hod, from my glory, but not all my glory. So Zekanim Shaba'oso Hador Amru, they said that the face of Moshe is Pnei Chama, is like the face of the sun. Pnei Yoshua, his big student, his successor, is only Pnei Lavana. It's only like the face of the moon. So Oilala Osa Busha, Oilala Osa Klima, just the difference between Moshe and Yoshua. Even Yoshua was his greatest student, but Moshe was like the sun. And the Lavana, and Yoshua was like the Lavana. We know that the moon, it only gets its light. It totally gets light all from the sun. But the sun gets its light from its own fire or whatever, from its own sources. But the moon is just a reflection, really, a reflection of the sun. That's pretty great. However, compared to the sun, there's a certain embarrassment and shame in that when you compare the two. Okay, we'll do one more. Rabbi Chama bar Chanina, Eser chupos. Hashem's going to make 10 chupos. He made for him 10 canopies in Gan Eden. Etc., etc. And that pasuk refers to Kol Even Yikara Misutecha, and it goes to all different 10 stones, referring to the canopies. Marzucha Amar Achadesrei Shnemar Kol Even. He adds the word Kol Even Yikara. 11 canopies for Adam Rishon. Rabbi Yochanan the Garua Shebekul, and the worst stones that were used for this canopy was Zahav. Why? It was counted at the end. The last stone that was counted was a stone of Zahav. Yeah, each stone was its covering. So the Zahav was the worst stone because it was counted at the end. So the next pasuk says, the work of your drums and your holes are within you. So what does that mean? There's a terrible king named Hiram, who is the king of Tsur, king of Tyre. So he said, when I looked at you, when I created the world, I looked at you. And then ubarasi nekavim ba'adam. And then I created many holes in a person, specifically the parts that we use when we go to the bathroom. He says, because Hashem saw that this Hiram was going to rebel against him and claim divinity for himself. So Hashem created man with these orifices, these parts of our body which are more humiliating. They're not prideful. They contain waste and all these other things. So from when Hashem anticipated that the creation of such an individual as Hiram, who was such a disgrace, was going to claim divinity for himself,